Hello, everyone. My name is Jd Calderon, and this is Of Mice and
Wolves, ow! This is the comic book workshop show where we help other creators work through any kind of issues they may be having in the comic book industry. And, without further ado, why don't we start bringing in our guests?
There we go. We'll start off with this guy.
Hello. How are you?
Hey, Chad. Tell the good people who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Chad Perkins. I am the, founder of Rolling Squid Bones Comics. And I also I am known for my Set the Hook series, which is about a man who's very angry at a fish. And also The Legend of Sparkle Dog, which is in development hell, but still in the works. Issue 2 is anyway. So those are my two ones that I am known for.
Cool. And we have Mr. Fish.
Speaking of fish,
I
am Mr. Fish from Mr. Fish Comics, the fastest working man in indie comics. I am wrapping up my 115th book in the last 6 years that I've illustrated, and happy to be here. Just got done with the Alice Loves in Wonderland issue 2 Kickstarter. Late pledges are still live, so you can go check it out right there if you want to.
Do it. Do it now.
While you have time.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Knowles. I'm one half of Insymmetry Creations. Right now, we've got a fun, brand new series on Kickstarter, Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress. We have 9 days left. We are 11 backers and $590 away from stretch goals. We hope you guys are going to hear about it tonight, and you're going to love it. You're going to want to stand on your heads and beat people up like you're in the mosh pit to go get to the keyboard, so that way you can go back this campaign. That was for you, Chad.
Yeah.
I dedicate that to you.
Hell yeah.
All right, Rob. Maybe you want to burst their bubbles and let them know what this show's all about.
All right. Yeah. So this show, basically what we do is we'll start clockwise and work our way around, which I guess it would be this way for the reverse folk. Basically, we'll start with Chad, who will give us his issue. We will then all go and ask questions about the issue to get kind of clarification, to make sure that we're not, basically rehashing and saying things that he's already tried or done. And then once the questions are done, we will then move into the answer section, which we will then talk about, giving him our thoughts or opinions, what we think might work for him. And then we'll move then on to Mr. Fish and then on to Matt. And we will also be throwing in your campaigns as well. If you have one live or if you have something that you're promoting, we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
This isn't a music show at all.
Nope.
We fooled you.
Oh, man. I had all my Nickelback collection here to talk about. And
look at this photograph.
Every time I hear it makes me laugh.
All we want is your problems, Chad. That's all we want. We want your problems.
Well. We don't have all day for this.
Yeah, but to say
one of your problems.
You want a problem.
This is an intervention, isn't it?
You never know.
This is about the comics. This is about my alcohol problem. All right. So my problem is, so recently, if you guys don't know, that I recently started doing my own publishing company, and I also have started taking outside submissions and signing people. I have 3 people signed on already, with 2 currently in the pipe that has not been announced yet. One I'm kind of hesitant on because I'm talking to him on Thursday, and it's kind of a big deal. I'm like, oh shit. Anyway, but I want to know what does it take to be a publisher? Like, not just like you single, like, Rob Multari pretends he's a publisher, but he's just one guy. And he's just
that's
writes
the word
books.
loan.
Yeah. So, but I want to know with you guys, what does it take to be a publisher, and also what do you guys look for in a publisher? Okay, it's a double question, but
That's fair.
So how to be legit?
Yeah, exactly. How not to be a scam, because I've been through those. God forbid.
Fair. All right. So let's open it up to the questions. Matt, do you have any clarification questions that you would like to ask Sir Chad?
I think his questions are pretty clear in my mind. I think that I just took the notes on it. I think we're ready to go. And as far as I'm concerned.
Fair.
Thank you.
Okay. Fish, do you have anything to add or for question wise?
How long have you been at the comics gig? like, is this your first couple of books that you're publishing, or have you been doing this for a while? And
I've been
just
doing
so I
it.
know where we're coming from.
So I've been doing like the publishing side of things, like doing everything on my own. I've been for like 5 years. For like collectively, it's about 11 because I was like submitting to places as well. So,
All right, cool.
but that doesn't mean I know what I'm doing. So,
Fair.
none of us do.
JD, do you have any questions for him before I jump in?
I got a few.
JD's like, listen here, youngster.
So the first one is contract wise.
Mhm.
What are you looking to get from your the people who are looking to be published through you?
What am I looking to get?
Yeah.
Exposure. Truthfully, my entire concept is not to create a profit for myself. It's just to get the little guy out there. Like, that's what I'm trying to create. I'm really trying to focus on the people who don't have the opportunity to get out there, or just can't, or really just don't have the time. Like I was telling Rob, like, hey, if you want me to do it, I'll do it. Like, I'll put your guys' stuff up on the Global Comics and all that kind of stuff, and do distribution and everything. So that's kind of my biggest goal.
Okay. Now the other question is, like, obviously you've been self-publishing.
Mhm.
Are you offering editorial services on top of that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm offering editorial. I'm offering like marketing and all that as well. So, but most of the time, the people that I've picked up with, it's all completed works, which is one of the things that I've been, really targeting as well. Because I don't do the whole, yeah, I have this 4-issue miniseries, but one is done, and yeah, you're signed on. It has to be like a full completed, like trade paperback or anything. So,
All right. Rob, you got anything?
Yeah. So as you say, you're providing services. What are all those services, and are you getting any kind of compensation for your time, or are you just being like, look, I'm just going to put you out there for funsies?
I'm kind of learning as I go with that. But right now, the services that I am offering there's one that I've told you about before, and I only will talk about it if, behind closed doors, that I do offer. But I do offer editorial, I offer full marketing, and I do offer like me going on like shows and everything and promoting the books. So that's what I'm currently offering. So I have been very transparent with the people that I've picked up. Is I'm learning as I go, and that's why I came here with this question, so that way I can get some other ideas of services and like other things that I can provide. So,
Okay, another question is, so what do you expect them to have or to do as far as like, let's say a writer comes in and is like, I have this idea for a book, but not an actual book. Do you say, go back and get some art done? Or are you like, well, I'll work for you. I'll help you find like an artist to work with or whatever. Like what kind of like, where's the line drawn here?
oh, it has to, right now, it has to be a completed book.
At least one.
At least one. Like
Okay.
a full, like even if it's like a one shot or it's like a full trade paperback or it's just multiple single issues and you want to get it turned into a trade paperback. I'm very firm on, if you come to me and say, I have an idea, like, great, there's 40 million other people, but I want to see your drive to do it. Like, you're an idea factory. I know I'm sounding harsh, but there's a lot of those people. So.
Okay.
What type of capitalization do you have? Do you have enough capitalization to carry you through? Are you looking to do Facebook ads, or are you just trying to do everything just, via posting online, that sort of thing, doing shows like this? I mean, are you looking to take out ads and that sort of thing?
Eventually, yes. Like, I want to.
So you have no money is what you're telling me.
Well, first off, that's none of your business if I don't have any money. Secondly, yes, I personally don't have any money, but I do have a slush fund.
Okay.
So
Fair
yes,
enough,
I
fair
do.
enough.
Yeah, I do have any of the con stuff that I do. I put it in a slush fund.
Okay,
So.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's-
But to answer your question, like personally, no, I don't have any fucking money.
I don't think any of us
so,
have
so
money.
quit asking
None of us have
me.
money like that. So
JD keeps messaging me, Chad, do you have any money? Send me $5.
all the time. And let me tell you, it's never $5. You always miss the other 2 zeros.
Yeah.
Well, he
That's
keeps
because I
bugging you about
refused.
those backdoor
Yeah.
I will show you my butthole for $500.
Listen,
Sorry, here I am without $500.
don't go there because I'm pretty sure I'm not the first, the last to see it. So
Oh, you won't be.
Oh,
No,
wow.
that's my marketing strategy. Just show my butthole like a cat. And I'll pray for
there you
them.
go.
That is what market you're trying to be in.
I mean, you got to treat your posts like a cat butthole. You know, you got to just throw them out there in front of everybody's faces.
That's
There you go.
That's what Chris Albright and when we have a Facebook group with everybody, and that was one of our things is we're just gonna post like Adult Swim style, like no context photos, but have like the link and like our name on the photo, so that way people will check it out and question it. And I was like, you know what, I love Adult Swim, so I'm totally for trying that, because our entire our thing is we want to be kind of the strange one, similar to, and I know I shouldn't compare, but like Silver Sprocket or like Fantagraphics, or they just find weird stuff, unconventional stuff, and they just kind of are silly with their marketing. So I'm like, I want to do that. I want to have fun. So
That's good.
yeah.
That's good.
I have a follow-up question. So if I come to you with, say, all
Fish.
4 issues of Green Zone put together into the trade, ready to go, what services are you offering me in that to publish?
What are you looking for?
Well, I'm just curious. Like, are you gonna be doing, like, say, crowdfunding to get the money to publish it? Am I bringing the money in to publish it? Are you printing the books? Like,
So I have a distribution currently that does take care of printing as well. So I do have that currently. I'm waiting for them to get everything up and running. But it's kind of a slow process, but they are available. I signed with, I guess I can announce it. I signed with Critical Blast. So I signed with them to take care of the distribution and the publishing of my books. And then the other thing that I'm offering currently is once they get everything up and running, I'm going to start producing a catalog, and I'm going to be mailing it and contacting stores to get it out. So that's my entire goal, is to make this little catalog and send it out into the world. The other thing I do offer is a kit as well. So if you want to fill your table and you're just starting out, you are capable, as long as you pay for the printing, you can take any of my books or anybody else's books and sell them at conventions. Now, that is an optional thing. You don't have to be a part of it. But that is one of the optional things that I do have available too. So if you want to make your table more meaty, you can take those as well.
So I don't know if this is the right, if this follows the format. If it doesn't follow the format, then JD, you can kick Rob in the junk. So just in hearing what's been said so far, I feel like I would be very careful with the way that you're using the word publisher, because you've said it a couple of times, and I think that there's a lot of different definitions of what people are going to think when they hear publisher.
Sure.
And I think most people are going to think of the traditional route of, we're a whatever, fill in the blank, that's going to be going through Diamond or going through Lunar, and we're going to be putting it out there into distribution. And I think that that's going to be the first thought that people are going to have. And I only say that because you said you have a publisher and then you signed on with Critical Blast to do the publishing. So I would try to find different words so that way people who might come to you have very clear as to what you're doing, what they're doing, and so on and so forth.
Right. Let me re-clarify. They're doing the logistics side of it.
Okay.
Is what I meant on it. And I am very transparent with, if you're looking for like massive Diamond, I mean, obviously not Diamond Now or any of those, you will not find it here at the moment. Like, not that it's not in the cards, because my entire thing is I'm starting small. I am being small. We are doing what we can do in our little box, and then we are growing and expanding because there are people out there, and I'm not going to name names, who bite off too much more than bite off too much than they can chew, and that's stupid. I don't understand that like at all. You're just starting out, and you got like these big things under you, and I'm like, but why? Like I have Chris
How do you
Albright
really
and
feel about
Cunningham. Well, here, let me tell you. Now that we're bringing up problems, I'm going
to assume Matt already opened up into the answer stage, so we'll just. I mean, as he said earlier, this one's pretty much straightforward, but
yeah,
we might as well just make it official, so I don't get kicked by JD apparently.
I have to mail it.
We have a format, guys. We're supposed to follow it. We're not there yet.
Little does he know that I'm the one who scolds JD.
Oh, wow.
I'm the one that usually messes it up.
Behind closed door, beating him with a stick.
I get cattle prod across the screen.
They're really in the same room the whole time.
That's only when Daphne's on. Those two are on the same, basically in the same house.
All right. So who's gonna start?
Well, so Matt already went once. We'll go to Fish if you have anything, and then we'll go back to Matt if he has something, and then you and I will kind of jump in. Yeah.
So we're on the advice stage now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just check and make sure. The main things. Well, that answers another question right there. So, all right. Good luck. Wish you well. My thing would be make sure you've got good contracts and stuff that clearly spell everything out, not in super confusing legalese, but that have everything clearly spelled out, and spell out what happens if everybody gets mad and decides they want to part ways. What do we do in that kind of situation?
Continue.
That would be my main thing. And then my second thing would be, like you were saying, I would stick to trying to build small and slowly, because I have seen a lot of people say, oh, well, I can do my own book, so we'll take on other people's. And then you have a whole bunch of people come in at one time. And that causes a whole lot of logistical issues that you didn't have when it was one person doing a set of books. And now you're having to keep all these other balls in the air, juggling them. And if this book gets behind, and that throws the whole schedule off, and now everybody is behind, and it can lead to a whole lot more issues. So I would be wary of trying to go too big too fast, and I would be really clear on the contracts are my main two.
My contract is, if you can read it, you're not dumb. It's pretty clear cut. My contract is very simple. Sometimes I think it's pretty generous. If you get upset and you're not satisfied, I'm like, okay, well then you can go. I'm not going to be upset. But if I did the printing of the books, there's two things. I can either sell them at conventions, or you can buy them for me at a a reasonable price cost. That stock, because either I can sell, I'm not going to just sit on it. But other than that, I'm not going to be well, no, you're in this contract for 50 years. No, I get it. You're not satisfied. You want to go somewhere else. You're growing. Fine. My whole thing is I want to be kind of like the starter publisher, or the starter umbrella. So that way you can at least say, hey, I worked under these people, or I did a book for these people. And then they'll be like, okay, well, they got some credibility. But I do have, that's why I also have the Facebook chat group that I have with the people that I picked up with, where I can get advice and what, everybody sees. And then that way I can be okay, it's consistent communication. We're all very transparent with each other. I want to be, open, because I've been burned a lot where there's just no communication.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt, you gotta have anything else?
Yeah, I would say while it is noble to say that you're not trying to make a profit off of it, I would resist that urge, and I would make sure that you build in for yourself a way for you to make money, because right now you're saying, hey, I want to be a starter, I want to help people out. But what happens if you have a title that blows up and you've got people that are wanting to option it or license it or something like that, and you've got a ton of work going on behind the scenes? It's a lot easier for you to already have that mechanism in place than to be like, I don't have it. Now I have to go back to this person who I have the contract with and be like, I need to change the contract and I need to pull some money back out because that's going to piss them off. I've seen it when publishers have tried to do that. They've had one thing in their contract, and then they didn't like the way that it sat and arbitrarily tried to change something. And I say this because I've physically seen it with my own two eyes.
It's happened to me.
Yeah, they tried to change. They tried to unilaterally change the contract after the fact because they didn't like the way financially it was working. And from your side, I would make sure that right at the beginning you're setting it up to be like, hey, I'm not trying to make money off of you guys, but my time is money, and I do need to do something so that way I can sustain myself if this business does grow. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, the bill.
Even if it just goes slowly and you got to hire help or something at some point, you got to hire assistants and things. You'll need money for that.
Yeah,
and I think you're talking about honesty and communication is huge.
Yes,
because every one of us have seen the people out there that talk a big game. They're going to be the industry changer. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And we all know that it's a bunch of garbage every time we see it.
Wow,
be bigger than Marvel.
Well, I want to be.
We all know it's going to be a bunch of crap, or we've been on those and we've seen it be a bunch of crap. And nobody in the industry, nobody with any kind of brain is going to fall for that. The only people that are going to fall for that are people on the outside that don't have the intelligence to see that it's a bunch of garbage. And the more you're honest with people about that, the more, as Fish said, keep it very honest and sincere. And this is what I'm trying to do. And you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You're just trying to help bring some titles to market. I think that's going to go a long way in your people that work with you having respect for you, and the fan base out there actually having respect and believing in what you're doing as well.
Yeah, because I always think integrity is important, especially in this industry where we rely on other people. Like we all, I mean, in reality, even though we don't all work for each other, we all work for each other. Like in the sense, like I go with Rob to dinner, you know, with his wife and everything after the convention, and we all got drunk and talked about movies. Like that's the kind of thing. Like we build a rapport with each other, and I always think that that's really important. Just with also the people who sign on. So, and no, Fish, I'm not going to pick up Green Zone. You can stop asking me. But thank you, Matt. That's good. I'm glad I'm thinking properly with that. But you are right, though. There are the people who try to go in and say, I'm going to reinvent this wheel. Like, well, did you see what happened with Action Lab? Because I was a part of that. And oh boy, if you want to talk about contract. Anyway, that's not. They changed the contract multiple times for multiple people.
Yeah, they're not the only ones, unfortunately.
They're not the only ones. Nope.
JD's company changed the contract
all the time. Yeah. The only thing is we enforce it with a baseball bat
and a cattle prod.
Don't mess with me, New Yorkers. So don't mess with those New Yorkers. They're going to get the bat party out there.
Yeah.
You got sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. But
Eventually, I will do it. I will, just on a total unrelated note, I got to commission Fish to do a Set the Hook cover because it'd be funny to have a fish do it.
So the fish do the fish.
Oh, I never.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is, what if Fish doesn't know how to draw fish?
Shit. Oh, but it's like
you think that's what a fish looks like, dude? That's a raccoon.
Try that
man. What are you
after
doing?
this issue of Alice comes out.
That's not a fish. That's an alligator.
I'll prove you wrong.
That's just my mom. What are you doing? Why do you have that?
All right. So, Chad, the reason I ask if you had a slush fund, right, or you have
You
cash.
didn't.
I
I
mean,
mentioned it.
you understand, right? Well, I asked you if you have money, right?
Yes.
So, the reason I asked that is because it's important, right?
Yes.
We don't know. You're running a business. You have to have, and like you said, at least a slush fund, right? Now, because my concern is like Matt had mentioned, at what level are you going to be operating, right? You said you're working with Critical Blast. I've seen what they do. I know how they do it, right? So that's cool, right? Because the one thing I like about them is they do the finishing. They'll ship the books out for you and they'll do all that stuff, and they're really good guys. But the thing is though is I also know the cost of that printing, right? So the other question is to go along with this is, how many cons are you doing in a year? Are you planning on doing one a month, two a month, so on and so forth, right? And is that going to be enough? Are they good? Like, because basically it's POD what they're doing, so the cost on those books is relatively high, right? So the reason I asked if you have money is you might want to switch over to offset, right, where you can bring those prices way down, right? But if you don't have the capital for that, it's going to be difficult, right? But also it depends on how many shows you're doing a year. If you're doing 2 shows a month, then it's worth doing it. If you're just doing 2 shows a year, I wouldn't advise it.
Well, no.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it just depends where you're at. So I'm just saying, you have to be cautious. Obviously, you seem you have a good head on your shoulders. I mean, I'm lying to you, but okay. But
Okay, about to say. I almost took a compliment. I was like, "Oh, wait, that's not true."
Wow, he reeled you in there.
Oh, damn, we can tell you're a dad, bro.
You really baited me, didn't you?
Oh, God. Anyway, but no, but seriously, I mean, it seems like you have a good you have a good thing to work out. The other thing I would suggest to you, since you are looking for weird, quirky books, you should probably try to find stores that sell weird, quirky things, right? To try to because if that's the crowd you're trying to get in with, you should probably try to find that places that maybe sell maybe not conventional comics, but like zines and things, where maybe you'll have those people who like things that are a little bit bizarre and weird, because I know I have friends that love that stuff. What happened?
Oh, yeah.
Vape shops or head shops?
Yeah, oddities market shops.
Right.
It's funny. So I'm actually in Ipsy. One of my friends owns Twisted Things, which is like a weird and unconventional art shop where she makes like taxidermy. There's like bone jewelry and all kinds of stuff. And she actually sells Set the Hook in her shop because it is, weird. And she's also looking for more like a library of comics and books and everything to add to it.
Right.
But yeah, I have looked into that as well. I've also looked at cafes too, like just the ones who sell independent, art stuff. So there's a brewery that's out in Waterford, Michigan, that sells like people's books and everything. So I've been looking at that, but that's not a bad idea. Is look at oddity shops too.
Yeah, I mean, and I would talk to your friend who has that shop because she probably knows a few other people in the same business.
Oh, we have been in contact. She's been my friend for years. She actually her and her husband, when we started talking again, she's like, "Hey, let's do this," and I said, "Okay." So, but she's been helping me kind of get the more business structure down. So I asked her for advice when she's not busy, because
she running businesses, is no small endeavor.
She owns 2. She owns that shop and a farm. So
there you go. All right, Rob, it's all up to you now.
It's like, Chad, don't do it. Whatever you're fucking doing, don't do it.
Yeah, I think, as far as the problem you're going to have too is as Fish was saying, it's one thing when you're doing your own books, you have what, 3 titles under your own self, right? Like what you have going on, you're going to, at some point, you're going to want to jump back into those, but you're going to be so busy doing everybody else's things that you're going to that's totally going to go away. Yeah. I mean, that's unless this becomes a full-time gig for you and you can kind of slide that in. which, right now I know that's definitely not going to be the case, especially starting out. So there's one of those things that you're going to have to balance. And, what do you want more? Your, publishing yourself or making sure you get everybody else out there, because you're going to have deadlines, right? And you're going to have making promises. You have contracts. So, you got to keep that in mind. You're basically going to be saying, I'm putting my babies up on the shelf while I'm bringing this thing to life. You know what I mean? So my advice is make sure you get your stuff to a place where you feel like you're comfortable, where they can live on their own instead of just putting them up on a dusty shelf. You know what I mean? Before you start taking on a lot more people, a lot more books.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you're like at least getting those to like an end point or a point where they can live, so you can sell them at cons and people aren't waiting for the next issue, because there's nothing worse than waiting for that next issue and 5 years later it's not there. You know what I mean?
I know. My problem with Sparkle Dog.
So that's my point, though. It's like, you're gonna have that itch. You're gonna want to, once you get to a place where like, if Sparkle Dog finally is out of development hell, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna go jump back on, my new shiny toys back. I'm gonna go play with it.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's why I am like, Set the Hook issue 1, or this arc is only 4 issues, and I have a second arc that's totally unrelated, so I can take my time with it. But I do agree with you, and that's a good thought, because once I'm done with issue 4 of Set the Hook, because it's already being drawn and ready and the Kickstarter's done, I'm pretty much done, like, with my whole, well, not writing, but with the projects that I'm currently working on that need to get done. Except Sparkle Dog.
You'll be in a happy place then.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And then I can just promote, volume, the first arc of it. I call them arcs just because the second arc doesn't have anything to do with the first arc.
Which makes sense.
It's just easier.
Yeah.
So I do have that plan with Sparkle Dog, though. That's a whole other thing. I need to. Did you know it's also the bestseller, even though it's only 1 issue? And I tell people it was done as a dumb joke. And anyway.
Usually the dumbest things are the biggest hits. I mean, look at Ninja Turtles. We all love Ninja Turtles.
It's true. We do.
And then everybody's been chasing it ever since, trying to get that same sparkle.
I know, the mutant, what is it? The radioactive hamsters from... Yeah, those... But no, you are right, though, getting to a happy place with them. Because I've seen people like that, there are people out there who were publishing for so long, and they just recently got back to writing. I mean, not to name names, but Garrett Gunn, he didn't do a lot until very recently. I know he revived Warcorns and Little Red Ronin. I think it was Little Red Ronin.
Richard Rivera from Scout Comics Stabity Bunny had to take a long time off because he was so busy with what they had him doing. He was like, I haven't had a chance to write Stabity Bunny stuff for years for that exact reason.
Yep. So, and I do think that is important to finish whatever books you're working on. That's why I believe in miniseries and not long format titles. Like 4 to 6 issues is fine. Like, if you can't, you need 22, 40 issues to tell a story, just get out of here. I'm looking at you, Rob.
Look, I have
your fucking books.
That's right. I'm gonna go for that Walking Dead number, man. I'm going.
Sure. Yeah, of course. It's admirable, obviously. I can't do that. I'm terrible with continuity. Chad, remember this? They died. Oh shit.
Man, I'm so neurotic when it comes to continuity. My wife, like, if something is off in a TV show, and I'm like bitching about it, my wife's like, "Shut up and watch the TV show."
Oh, I can't. I forget.
I'm like, this isn't happening. No.
All right. We're getting way into the weeds.
Yes, we are.
Oh yeah,
Chad. So
don't
hopefully we helped out.
Do it.
No. I mean, do what you're gonna do, because I mean, we all like to see a raging fire. I mean, we all like to see successes. I'm only joking.
Thanks, Chang.
No, but seriously, I mean, I hope this helped. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So.
No, I knew all these answers. Like, you guys gave me
okay.
absolutely nothing to think about, like,
Good,
at all.
good.
You
That's
guys are
Just that we
Exactly.
confirmed all your suspicions.
Yeah, exactly. You guys all suck, and that's it.
Yeah,
No,
listen.
legitimately, this was incredibly helpful.
Okay,
Like,
good.
and I'm glad at least like there are things that I am thinking in the correct direction. I just need to expand on it, especially when it comes to the money and also like the contracts and everything.
Mhm.
Because that shit's tricky because people will burn you for your contract. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if you hate the contract, just leave. And that's usually how I am. You could just leave.
I mean,
Yeah, I would just hate to see you have something that like blows up and they're like, "Hey, you blow it up, and now we can just leave without you getting anything." You're like, "But I put all this time into it. Now you want to screw me over?" That's why there should be protections both ways.
Yeah, that's why when it comes to any of like the media stuff, like, yeah, we got a Netflix deal. Like, it is that I am like both of the creator and the publisher are together in on it working. So, because that was one of the things that Action Lab had that you couldn't. And yeah, boy, again, we could talk. I'm getting into the weeds on that. So,
well, I mean, IP sharing. Obviously they own the IP, but
yes.
profit sharing based off of for your work, you have to cover the effort.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
All right, cool. So Mr. Fish has returned.
Yeah, sorry. Our internet's been having trouble.
he's under the sea.
All right. Well, Fish was over there, so we were going to go with him. We probably should, just in case he drops off again. So we try and get him in here before the internet goes worse. So, Mr. Fish, what is your issue, sir, and how can we help you? And can you hear us?
That's his problem. He can't hear anything. And we can't hear him. That's our problem too.
Well, all right. All right. Well, then we'll jump to Matt, and hopefully he'll get whatever issues.
Rob's like, as a secondary, I guess. Okay.
Look, I tried to be courteous. He came back.
So here's my question.
Fuck that guy.
in an era where every bit of communication that someone tries to get out there about their campaigns gets thwarted, whether it's social media downplaying it, whether it's emails or Kickstarter updates getting sent to spam folders, outside of being on live streams, what are the most creative things that you've done that you find are actually effective to get the word out about your products or about your campaigns?
Okay. Chad, do you have any questions for Matt?
When you mean like different means to get out there, do you mean like physical, just unconventional, like
it could be anything. It could be anything you're doing. I mean, it could be a digital means. It could be you've got an email server that is actually going to get it into somebody's email box and not into the updates box. It could be at conventions. It could be whatever comes to mind that you think is something that is applicable to the 5 people on the screen. Rob might not be able to go to the conventions where Fish is at, so that wouldn't be applicable to him in that respect.
Gotcha. So really, it can be anything that you're willing to try. Anything is really what you're saying, because you're failing miserably. I get it. Okay.
Well, I don't know if I'm saying that, but we can pretend that that's the case, because that would make the answers better.
Right. Okay. Great. My answer will be 10 times worse.
Fish, are you? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. For a minute, anyway.
Okay, fair. Do you have any questions for Matt?
Did you hear the whole question?
What avenues have you been trying up until now? I heard the last couple that you mentioned.
So what I was saying is in an environment where every type of communication that you try there's downgrading on it or posts being hidden, like on Facebook. What's something that you've done or that you found successful that's helped you to be able to cut through that and get your word out there? We've tried, whether it be Discord servers or Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Substack, all those, the typical things, with some kind of, I would say, medium to negligible results. We all know the struggles.
That's my big question.
Okay, JD, do you have anything?
No, wait a second. I think Fish was trying to say something, but he was cutting out.
He said that was a question.
Yeah, that was my question.
Oh, that was your question. Okay, sorry. Because
question
I
was
just
just
saw his
him
lips
cutting out.
move, and I was like, was he asking another question? All right.
Sorry.
His question was just him cutting out. Keep up,
Yeah.
JD.
So I mean, obviously, all right. Here's the thing. And
Question.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't think I really have a question for him. I have answers, or I have some ideas. I should say.
Sorry, if you don't have a question, we're moving on.
Yeah, move on.
How dare you? You
Hold
don't
your-
know.
hold your horse.
Do you have a question?
I do actually. Yes.
There you go.
All right. So you've said you've tried all these things, right? Now, when you're doing all of these things, obviously you're not spending a lot of time on all these things, right? So I've learned, are you, as you were doing this, like have you focused on one more than the others at any point in time? And have you seen better results or same negligible results?
So I would say, so there are times when we will focus on one thing over another. That doesn't mean we'll abandon, we're not going to not post on Blue Sky because Blue Sky has low results, because we have gotten some backers from Blue Sky. So maybe spend a lot of time marketing in one spot, then just make sure that the Blue Sky post happens, or vice versa. See if there's threads on Blue Sky that you can go get more posts in and try and go hammer those things. I will say that one thing that we try is, if we're going to go and send multiple previous campaign updates, we try to make sure that we tailor it to the campaign. We sent a campaign update out to a campaign that was years ago, but it was the one that sold by a large mile the most leather work that we've ever done. And we're like, hey, we have some new leather work in this campaign. There were more leatherwork purchasers in this campaign than any other one that we've ever done, so we thought you guys might like it. That's the kind of stuff that we try, but it still feels like we're fighting against the grain. You never know who's going to see your stuff. I mean, it's inevitable. You get to the end of a campaign and you have a super backer that's like, I didn't even know you guys had something going on. And you're like, how did you not know that?
Okay.
100%.
Anybody else have any other questions for Matt before we jump into the answer session? All right.
No.
JD, do you want to go first since you have been chomping at the bit?
I'm not really jumping. Everybody can go. If anybody,
Okay.
I can wait.
All right. Who wants to go first then? Chad, Fish?
I'll go. I got decent internet for a second. I'll go now.
Good answer.
Personally, the best results I've seen from anything that I've done, wherever I've done it, is offering genuine helpful advice and tips on the things that I'm good at, offering information for free that I have a skill set to be able to help you with. And I've noticed that's also the thing that gets me to open certain email newsletters when I get swamped with them from the 300 something campaigns that I've signed up for over the years. There's a few that I'll open because I know this person is really good at story writing, and and they're giving really good tips for writing engaging, interesting characters, and I want to see that. Or this person has been in the industry for a long time and is willing to spill all kinds of juicy gossip that I can't get anywhere else. So I will open that one because they're offering something that they can't get anywhere else. And I've noticed when I'm offering videos of my artwork, which I forget everybody else sees as magic. It's just what I do all day. I forget that it's special to anybody else to watch somebody draw. When I do that, when I offer advice and tips on like making comics, on setting up for a con, on laying out panels, things like that, I get a lot better engagement, whether that's on Facebook or it's on TikTok or YouTube or my emails. Like when I moved my email newsletter over to, like, when I realized the majority of the people that are backing my comics are either in the comics business or want to be someday, I tailored my newsletter to being more about advice on how to make better comics. And I give away like free brushes and assets and things that you can actually use, like in Clip Studio. And, I try and make it as cool to want to open as I possibly can to get better engagement on that. And I still see, like, the months when I fell into the trap of being a little more like, hey, I got a book coming, I don't get nearly as much engagement as it's like, hey, here's this really cool thing I figured out how to do. Here's how you can do it. Here's a brush that'll let you do it. Like those, get way better engagement than anything else. So, like, finding those things that, like, you're good at, that you have to offer and your team has to offer, and steer into that, whether it's video or it's text posts or whatever it is that lends itself to.
And then, oh, by the way, yeah, I guess, guys, don't forget, I've got this book going. I totally get you on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
People get it because I understand, because people feel like if it feels like one-way communication, hey, here's what Fish wants from me, and there's nothing about what can I get from Fish. The ones where what can I get from this message probably are the ones that are going to get the more, here's the 3 things you should do if you want to be an artist, are probably going to get a higher engagement. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
So just to play off on that, what Fish is saying, I do agree that having an info dump is, just to summarize it all, is a very good and valuable thing, especially when it comes to your Substacks and your mailing stuff. But you also want to be entertaining with it. Like info dumps, let's just be real here. The people's minds are 5-second, ooh, shiny jingle keys at this point. You want to at least be entertaining with the information that you're having. And that's why with my thing, when it comes to my Substacks and my social media stuff, I always try to have fun with it. I always try to add some humor. And Matt, I know you work very hard and you are incredibly entertaining when it comes to your posts and everything. I am lying like JD, but I do see your videos and everything, and I think they're great. And you're one of the people that I do remember and I get excited about when I see your stuff. And it is true that I miss your, I know I'm patting you on the back, but, and I do miss your Kickstarters and everything, because there is so much stuff to keep up with. I'm getting 4 or 5, even just the other day, or Stephen Prince and I were talking today, and he's like, yeah, my previous Kickstarter came out. And I'm like, you had a fucking Kickstarter? I backed almost every single one and I didn't have it. Well, that's because all of his stuff was like buried into my emails. But it is those like titles that you have. Like one of my latest Substack said with complimentary gun. And it did get people to open it because they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it did get a little bit more engagement because my titles were more like, what the fuck?
Clickbaity.
Yeah, clickbaity. So I always think that there is an entertainment value to it when it comes to info dumping on Fish Sets, because I love that stuff too. Like when you give me all types of advice, I'm like, oh hell yeah, like give me that. But I also don't want to read like Tolkien or George R.R. Martin. Like I don't want to read a 5 chapter of you describing a field. Like I don't want that. So, or even if it's just bite-sized content too, like TikTok. Like hey, use this brush. This is what it do. You're good. The other thing I wanted to answer that I had a really good success with, and I know Rob has seen these, is our little coaster business cards. So I've always, Christopher Albright gave me the idea of doing more of a conventional type tool when it comes to physical media and giving people stuff. And these little coasters have been awesome. People are like, do you have a business card? I'm like, we do. And we are like, it's a coaster and you can scan the little QR code. And people are like, holy crap, because people will use a coaster. Or they'll give it to their friend, and they'll set it down and they'll flip it over. They're like, oh shit, there's them. And they remember you. There's also the thing, and this will sound silly, but I mean, yeah, because everything I'm going to say is silly, is we do the free comic book box set conventions. And that turned out really well when we were doing it at Motor City Comic Con.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch.
Yeah. So it was like people remembered us. We're going to start putting our little QR sticker on them as well, like if we have them bagged and boarded. So there's that. And you can also go to the bathroom stall in a bar and put on a bumper sticker, also a QR code. That stuff works. Like, I know that sounds dumb, but that stuff works. Like, I will go to a concert and there'll be all these big, stickers of local bands and artists and sometimes big bands. And I'll be like, oh shit, that's really cool. That's a really good artwork. Those are handy. They are incredible. Yes, they are. Also putting them at the table next to you to make it look like it's a little setup to put your drink. Yes. So
especially when they bring the Wild Bill's cups over.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. They're sweaty and gross and they get it anyway. They're really nice though. But I do think that physical media is something that we should continue tapping into. Going to your local comic book shop and seeing if you can put up a little flyer, the little printed flyers and everything. So I think that that's a really good way to kind of get around this media bullshit, for lack of better terms, because it sucks. I have problems with it too. I mean, look at Twitter. Even Blue Sky is terrible at this point. So yeah, I think focusing more on physical media might be a good way to combat that. Yeah.
On your physical media thing, one of the things we do is, we do a lot of trading cards. We actually literally have one sitting here. Our trading cards are a part of our collectible trading card set. Yeah. So we always have our artist draws, so we turn them into numbered trading card sets. Like this was actually from GeekCon Shreveport last year. And so people are like, hey, do you have a business card? We're like, yeah, we actually have a collectible trading card that is our business card because everybody wants something that's collectible.
There you go. Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to take their business cards, they're going to throw them away because nobody wants a business card from 1974. But when they're like, hey, I've got a collectible hand-numbered signed trading card from a trading card set, much more chance they're actually going to keep it around.
Yeah. And then if they put it in a binder and they flip through them and they collect them all, they can be like, hey, there you go.
That's exactly right. We got In Sim's business card. We got Chad's coaster. We got Rob's sticker from off the urinal at the
right.
club.
Well, Rob, when I was going to the bathroom in the urinal, there were Lone Wolf business stickers all over the urinal and some in it, and it was very disgusting.
Yeah. I think it's because Chad probably stuck them in there.
I did, but I did. I'm all about promoting when you pee. I mean, it's just what you do.
Oh man.
I like that bit. I like the business, the trading card as a business card too. I think that's really cool.
I did the same thing. I made a trading card sketch card that has like my QR code on one side.
Yeah.
And it has like one of my characters. It has a brief pitch about the story they're from to see if I can get you hooked. And then like, hey, if you want to check out a free digital comic and see what we have for sale, here's the QR code. And you can sign up for the email list and buy comics and whatever from that.
Yeah.
Another nice thing too, besides trading cards, is bookmarks with your information on it as well. Because people, you stick that in a book, they're using it every time they read a book. They're like, oh, I have a bookmark. Slap that in there. Oh yeah, that was cool. I'm gonna check that out.
I'm a sucker for bookmarks. Like you hand me.
I turned one into a comic strip, and it's great because I can just hold it out and be like, hey, who wants a free comic? And boom. And if you like it, there's a QR code to get you on my email list and give you a free comic.
No, that's it right there.
This might be common sense to some or not everybody, but when it comes to the Linktree QR code, one, those are free, and two, you can change stuff on that. Like you can change your links on that, so you don't have to deal with. Yeah, like you don't have to always change the QR code with it. So it definitely saves you money on printing stuff too. And so
I literally just made a sale yesterday because of that. Because like I updated my Linktree and now I could tag stuff from my online shop on there. And somebody scanned one of those business cards or QR codes in my books or bookmarks or something and got there. And I made a sale yesterday specifically because I can keep changing.
I got a sale from my little coaster too. Like somebody scanned the QR code and went to our store and they bought something. And I was like, heck yeah. So it works. I know people are like, oh, we're the digital age, but people still like their physical trinket stuff. So
I mean, people still collect, physical media. Like obviously, that's why we still produce quality. Right?
Have you seen in our studios? Like,
but, JD, Do you
All right.
finally want to jump in with your?
Yeah, I'll try not to soapbox too much. So listen, one of the things one of the things that dismays me about all of this, right, is that we call ourselves a community, right?
You're all wrong.
True. If we call ourselves a community, right? This is something we do, right? We say we're in a community, and are we really?
JD,
Right.
that was my question. You can't just bring up my question that I was going to give the other day. Thanks.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I don't remember.
Anyway, continue.
But this also ties into what I'm about to say. So
Yeah.
we do call ourselves a community, but are we really a community? Right? Because what are we doing to help one another? We do shows like this, right? We all help each other that way. One of the ideas that I saw years ago was a trading card set that someone had put out. And you could buy in, and it was called the Independent something or another trading card set, and you had 100 different independent publishers in that set, and each publisher would buy in. You would get maybe 100 cards of your card, and you would get like 10-20 sets of the full deck, and you could sell those as shows, right? $5, $10, whatever you decided to sell them for. You could give them away, whatever. Right? This way, you not only get out the word for yourself, you get out the word for a bunch of other people, but they're also doing that someplace else for you. You understand? So while you're doing it in Connecticut, they're doing it in California or Texas or wherever. You understand? So it's one of those things where, and listen, anyone who wants to do it, please, the idea is free. Take it. All right. Because the thing is, I've looked at it and I'm like, logistically, blah, blah, blah. Could I do it? Sure, I could do it. I just don't have the time, right? So if anyone has any free time, wants to do it, Chad, here's your chance, right? So, but again, it's also going to cost a decent amount of cash to get done, right? Because, you're talking about maybe 100 card set, a lot of people going to conventions, a lot of people getting out there, and that's the thing that I would suggest to anybody is like, are we trading trading cards with one another, right? It says, yo, Rob, I haven't done it to anybody. So Rob, here's 100 of my cards. Can you just give them away to show? Just drop them in your bag, as you sell something to somebody, And I mean, and this is stuff that we could easily do. Just put together a little bag, it says, listen, how many guys do you know, Rob? Seriously.
At least 4 or 5.
60.
Yeah, at least.
Right. So, you could just say, yeah, just send me a bunch of trading cards. Put together a little stack of cards in a little bag. Boom, boom, boom. Say, here's a bag full of cards for you, right? Every single time you sell something. These are a bunch of my buddies, the aces. My card's on top, but underneath those cards are some of my buddies. Go check their stuff out, right? And here's a little packet of cards for you, right?
To play off. Oh, go on. Sorry, JD.
So yeah, so I think these are the sorts of things we should probably be trying to pursue when it comes down to marketing, because we do the lone wolf thing a little bit too much, and we do know that as lone wolves, there's only so much reach that you have, right? Marvel is a titan and a monster because they have 900 titles, right? Or they have 80 titles or 100 titles a month they're releasing. They have a bunch of different titles they're releasing, and it's all pushed as one big giant machine, right? We don't have that advantage, right? But there are hundreds, if not thousands, of independent publishers, right? Imagine if each of us just spent a little bit of time promoting the rest of the community, not just ourselves, right? Promoting just a little bit. You understand? I'm not saying, obviously don't spend your entire damn day doing it, but, just pushing other people, right? Yeah. So,
I think JD, I think that one of the things that you've seen, because I don't know, Chad, I don't think that you were around back at that point. And Rob, I think you were around, but maybe not really engaged in. We've seen people try to do some group things before, and there's always somebody that wants to rise to the top of that and be like, I want to take control of this thing, and I want to be a little bit more of the group, more of the leader. Communism doesn't work, kind of thing.
Right.
And those group thoughts kind of fall by the wayside. So I think that's where sometimes those problems come in. I think that, to go back to what we said to Chad earlier, was maybe to do something like that might be better to start off with something very small. Hey, we're going to do a 20 card set. Now, when you know that the people that are involved at the beginning are
cool.
Cool, and you can deal with them on a smaller basis because somebody's going to have to design all those cards. Somebody's have to put all those cards together, and somebody's have to get paid to do those things. Unless Fitch wants to do it for free because he's the fastest working guy in comics. But I think
just bitch you in the ass.
But I agree with you that I think that stuff like that can help. I just think that it's tough sometimes because not everybody's going to have the same mentality that you do when you say that, and there might be somebody that's got a little more selfish ambitions, maybe that might be the poison in the pot, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Oh no!
There definitely needs to be a fellowship, if you will, like a board, not just a one head. That it's got to be more like a Hydra.
Right, and or like the Fellowship of the Rings. We need that. We need our Frodo or Gimli and all those. Just to mention,
let's be clear though. Sam did all the work, so
he did. No, and
it all
Legolas
fell on one guy.
Yeah, and Legolas didn't say a damn word to Frodo. Well, he didn't even fucking acknowledge him. So
he's like these filthy hobbits.
Yeah, he was clearly racist. But anyway,
well, he was. He hated the dwarves for that long.
So that kind of goes back to put JD's point as well. When we are doing the free comic book library, we want to do like Tom Hutchison came over and he dropped a bunch of Big Dog Ink books in there that he either can't sell or they were like misprints or whatever, and he dropped them in there. And then what I would do is when people are going through there, I'd be like, hey, Big Dog Ink is here, so there's free comic books in there, make sure you go check out their booth, and I was sending them over. So I think that that's another good way to help out the community, is if you're just willing to promote each other in any situation possible.
So your free comic book box, is it like if you buy something from me, you can get something out of the box, or just take them no matter what?
It's just you could take it no matter what.
It's like one of those library boxes that you just you put in and you take kind of a situation.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. And Chris Albright and I had the idea because I really like those things, and I was like, you know what, that's pretty cool. Let's try it. And we ended up, I know Rob gave us a couple things, but I took the Nightwolf books because, I wanted them. But anyway, it was also a little bit towards the top. But anyway, so you could just drop anything in that box. And then there's also like Kickstarter books that either, they've never seen, I backed the first issue and the second issue never dropped or anything. And I'm just sitting on these books and it's taking up space. So I just put them in this box. And then that one that gives the other creator of that book light, and two, I also get rid of some stock that's been sitting in my thing. So
I've been planning to do that same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're free to take the idea. I think it's a great idea. But I'm gonna start doing it at every con that I go to. So also, like, I accidentally printed some Clove Hitch books that are like 200 DPI instead of the standard 300. So I'm sitting on these, so I just drop them in there and gets rid of them because I can sell them, or I could just give them as freebies, which I do, which is the point that I just said. But to go back, and when it comes to the community, JD, I could go on that all day, but I'm not going to. But I do have the Indie Cosmos, which Dave Whalen and John Westhoff and I are doing, where it's just us trying to promote each other and build each other up. Oh, and Aaron Humphreys and Martheus Wade, but they're quieter because they're very busy humans, but they're still there.
I mean, it's one thing to kind of like to help. What this is something too, Matt, like that you can do to help boost your, like, let's say Facebook, right? If I find that focusing on Facebook still is my major, hub, if you will. Like you said about posting other places, do that, but like if you focus on the one, and it's kind of what I was leading towards earlier. But being part of the community, you can share, let's say 1-2 Kickstarters a day, right? That helps because you're posting something, but something to kind of help boost your algorithm when you're posting, like ask questions about your genre, whatever book you're putting out, like in the, leading up to, this is prior to, to Kickstarter, right? So let's say, because you're really big with the steampunk stuff, say ask your like on your Facebook page, on your business page, do it simultaneously, because you're going to get more from your personal page than you're going to get from a business or a group. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But like, let's say, hey, what's your favorite steampunk comic? What's your favorite steampunk novel? Is there a steampunk movie that I should be looking as a recommendation? Stuff like just like one of those one-liners with like the weird backgrounds that they give you.
Yeah.
Once a day, people will see that, start commenting. But not only are they like when they're commenting, you want to make sure that you react to their comment and you comment back, because the more you react to it, the more you keep that conversation going, the more that helps boost you up, right?
Yeah.
Rage bait is also a good way too.
Well, I'm trying to be more like, like actually going to gear, because you think about it this way too. You want to bring in the people to these conversations who are your audience, right? You don't want to go,
you don't want to find the troll.
Right. Well, and you don't want to you don't want somebody who's into like Star Wars who hates steampunk, right? You want the people who are actually going to read what you're putting out. So you kind of gear those questions to the people that you want, and then you keep that in, and as that kind of builds up your algorithm, the one you kind of, when you sprinkle in like the rough draft, like the artist got a rough of a panel, or a cover, you sprinkle it in between these things, and then kind of that can in doing videos, like, you have these great visuals, with you guys dressed up all the time, videos from your cons that you're at. I mean, you have so much content that you can use to sprinkle along while you're doing it. And then like, boom, you're live. Now you're posting daily because you have something to update, so it's going to be that trickle up effect. Now you're going strong. Your algorithm is boosted for that time period. That's something that I learned like during my issue 9 campaign.
So like 25 issues ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I was talking to Nita Lanning. Like, I'm like, one of my posts got like over like 1,000, like one, and this is a free post. This wasn't even an ad. One of my free posts had gotten over 1,000 likes.
Wow.
It was the first time I had ever gotten that high in my career of like this. And I was like, holy balls. And like people kept commenting, and it just was like one of those things where I was like, oh, this boost, like kind of priming the pump actually worked, so, and that's just one thing that you could do to kind of keep your, boost yourself, to kind of keep up top of mind and keep the, the algorithms like, hey, let's boost this guy up. He's got great content. Have you ever seen where like when you're like, is your personal account, is it like a creator account too? Or is it just like,
I don't even remember, because there's so many different ones that I'm like, I don't remember if it's Instagram or Facebook, which one is a creator account, which one's, I think my Facebook is just a normal account.
Okay. That's one thing, maybe consider switching. Cause like, so if you go to my page, it looks like a personal account, because it pretty much is, but it also says I'm a creator. Like it's, I'm a writer, blah, 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 whatever. But you can see the metrics, and they actually feed you information. Like say, hey, this post did great. You should do more like this. Or, hey, you should switch it up. Do this. So I was following the advice that Facebook was feeding me, like in the back end. Like they'll send you a notifications. Hey, you should try this. Hey, do this. If you do this, like do a reel every once a week, once a day, I didn't do that much.
Are you following the machine?
Yeah, right. So I'm just saying, like,
that's probably a good idea.
Let Facebook tell you what you should do to kind of, prime that pump.
How to use their tool to the best of your
right,
advantage.
exactly.
Right.
Like, we all complain about it, but like really, if you kind of, they do feed you some information. Sometimes it actually does help.
Sure. No, and I don't disagree. I know that TikTok, like putting like all the hashtags, as many hashtags as I could in there, actually did help boost up my TikTok stuff when I was doing that. And then I realized I'm getting too old for TikTok. I can't do it. So
can't do the dances anymore.
I can't.
Hey, what does that say about me?
Anymore. You're a young, beautiful man. So, oh wait, no, you're fish. Never mind.
Somebody sees it.
You're a young, beautiful fish.
I am indeed.
All right. So, Matt, I don't know if it helped any, but I hope it helped.
Oh, hey, you know what though? Having that conversation is good though, because hearing what other people do at work. I mean, I definitely think that I'm not going to be doing the urinal cakes, but
Damn it!
That's fair.
I'm telling
Missed
you,
opportunity.
the urinal cakes work.
yeah, Fish is like, sketch cards. What about sketch urinal cakes?
They're like laser engraved.
Just etch it out, you know.
One side has a
Real
QR code,
hard.
the other side has a target.
Oh goodness!
Take commissions.
I'm
For,
not
did you know you
flipping
can
it
take
over.
this urinal cakes? Right?
All right.
Oh, this one's gone off the rails.
Just a little bit. So, Mr. Fish, now that you're back with the internets, where
Again.
what's your question?
What was that now?
Oh, I guess maybe it's internets anyway. No, what do you have a question?
Yeah. I just sat down recently and I did a big spreadsheet of all of my campaigns, all of the reward tiers, all the information on them, how much we brought in, how many backers, how much each tier cost, how many backers on each tier, which ones didn't sell at all. And it gave me a real eye-opening look at stuff. And I know there's still information I have yet to glean from this, but it gave me a lot of good information. Like, for one, seeing that I've been on a slow and steady rise, because I was really kind of feeling a little bit down after the last campaign, wondering, why isn't it further? But when I went back and looked at it, I was like, it is doing pretty good. And the backer count has been growing, and I can definitely see some places where I made mistakes in the past or changed some things that have lowered my total take home at the end of the day. So I'm seeing some things to fix. But I'm also seeing that I'm probably getting to kind of close to the limit of what I'm going to earn with the pool of regular return backers that I have right now with the stuff that I'm offering, because I've been keeping my Kickstarters relatively tight with the book, maybe a variant cover, a t-shirt. I've kept it real slim down to stuff that I can produce real quickly. And I don't want to get stuck having to wait on a whole bunch of things. Like I've seen before when I was working with another publisher where okay, yeah, we're going to pack the books, and get them all shipped out today. Oh crap, we forgot to order the metal bookmarks. And now we got to wait 4 weeks. And all right, we're going to pack them. Oh crap, we forgot the keychains. And so now we got to, order those. And that left a bad taste in my mouth, and I didn't want to do that. But I'm also seeing from some of those previous campaigns just how much we made on that extra nonsense knickknacks and stuff. So I'm trying to think, what are the knick-knack tchotchke things that I should look into adding into the arsenal, and which are the things that I should stay away from.
Okay. Cool. Does anybody have clarification questions?
Are you saying stuff that are for tiers, or are you saying freebie type stuff? Or
I'm saying
add-ons?
add-on stuff to add into the tiers to make them more interesting. I know a lot of guys do hats, and some guys do shoes and jackets and things like that. I've pretty much stuck to t-shirts up until this point. And I don't like the quality of the cheap stuff. So if I do something, it's going to have to be good. That's why I started doing my own shirts with DTF prints and stuff, so that I know I can send you a good quality shirt that's going to last a long time, and not some cheap knockoff thing that's going to fall apart the first time you wash it and all of the image washes out. So
Okay.
I got standards.
That's fair. You should.
My question would be, how many vendors do you see yourself working with currently? As far as how many different places are you tapping to get these different things? Do you have one vendor you go to and they maybe supply you with keychains and the little standees and all that other stuff, or are you working with like multiple people?
Right now, like on this last campaign, like I'm ordering the shirts from one vendor, and I'm getting the DTF prints from another vendor. I'm producing the button magnets and stuff myself. The acrylic standees I'm getting done from another one. I'm farming out the 3D printing of the miniatures to another one because I just spread out to doing the miniatures this time to see how that goes. So yeah, this time I'm taking on maybe 6, counting the printer for the books.
I have a question, but it's not exactly like geared towards this. It's actually like a question about the standees. Like,
yeah,
you said you had a guy doing it for you, or like an actual house, or like, cause I know those aren't cheap to produce.
Oh, these, yeah, I'm getting them from a production company.
No, not just. I mean, sorry, not the standees. I mean the like the 3D prints.
Oh, these, yeah, these I'm getting from a small company. It's like 2 guys on Etsy, and this is a big one at 200% of the normal size, so it would show it better on cameras. But they're printing them for me, and printing them in bulk. I'm getting the little guys down to a really decent price.
Very nice. And Matt, do you have any questions?
No, I'm pretty clear on what he's talking about.
Okay.
Later.
So what have you? So you said you tried standees. You've got 3D. You've got T-shirts. What else?
I just introduced the 3D this time. I've been doing T-shirts since the beginning. 4, we've done T-shirts. I guess we've done hats. I think the internet's going out again.
We know.
Yeah.
Come here.
You back? No? Oh, okay. All right. So I think maybe we could try and give him advice, even if he's not here. He could go back and watch it, or
Sure.
Mhm.
What do you think, JD? Should we?
Time to power on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we could give him a couple minutes. I mean,
Yeah, let's
yeah,
give him.
we'll give him a couple minutes.
Do you guys like show tunes?
Why don't we? What if we show Matt's Kickstarter real
Oh
quick?
yeah, there we go. We're getting
Good. Fish has seen this many times already. We've been on multiple shows together. He'd probably be like, "Man, I'm glad I'm skipping that."
Yeah, when he pops in, we'll let him know. We'll give him the advice. But
yeah. All right. So Matt, it's all yours. Now, here's the thing with this show. It's not like my Sunday show, so
Yeah,
I only got a couple minutes here.
yeah, man, not a problem. Tatsumi the Serpent Mistress. This is a brand new series from us in Symmetry Creations. This builds off of our I Am Keto fantasy horror series. This follows Tatsumi. She's the last surviving member of the Yamaran Empire. Imagine Pirates of the Caribbean and One Piece being your favorite martial arts heroine. That is Tatsumi the Serpent Mistress. We just crossed minimum funding. We are close to a stretch goal and to a backer count incentive. We've got everything from standard covers to metal covers to T-shirts to socks to poker chips. We have custom leather work that is themed to the campaign. We have all kinds of stuff that is also, if you missed any of our other campaigns, there's a Facilidor Tales from Nocturnia Misfits Clubhouse. We try to find easy ways for you to be able to get those things and add them on to the campaign as well. So that is a quick overview of what this campaign is. We love the fact that we've still been able to explore the universe where Tatsumi is. If you're familiar with Heirs of Isildur, Keto went through a portal and is a part of that story. We said when we did I Am Keto that that's going to finish his story in that empire. We never said we were never going to go back there. And Tatsumi has seen her entire kingdom wiped out. She knows there's no way that she's able to go and take these people on, or these post-human creatures on her own. So she gets in a little fishing boat and sails out into the Serpent Sea to see what else is out there, and ends up running into a pirate ship named the Side Stalker, and so we get to see how this Onabagesha from this fictional Far East empire integrates in with this pirate ship, the crew of the Side Stalker. So that's where we start in the story. We hope you guys will jump on and take a look. We've got everything from individual issues to huge whale tiers in here. So if you're just hearing about this for the first time, then you've got all different kinds of options you can look at on this campaign. Are
you a shopping mall?
There is definitely a lot to shop from in there. Yes. If you've ever seen our tables at a show, we are only ever bested by Rob Multari and his, literally Rob Multari was a topic of conversation at the show I did on Sunday.
Listen, let me tell you about Rob Multari. He was across from me at Motor City Comic Con. He made my table look like a sad panda because his was all epic and pretty, and I'm over here going, oh, okay.
So I did a show on Sunday, and I brought Attic Door Media with me. I've got him a spot at our show.
Oh, yeah. And when are you going to invite me to your show?
If you lived in Florida, then we'll see what's up. But
I can fly to Florida. I have people that live in Florida. Anyway.
Well, I had about a 10 by 30 space that I was able to fill up at the show, and I told him, I said, hey, I got you a pretty big spot because it was a mall show. Got you a pretty big spot to be able to set your stuff up, which is probably the largest table they ever had. But they said, and I quote, they were like, one of our shows for COVID got canceled. And they said, luckily for us, it's good that we did, because the only visual we had was to be like Rob Multari. And we went and we rented out 2 booths, like 2 corners at a large show. And all we had was 1 issue. So the best thing that ever could have happened was that show getting canceled because of COVID, because they're like, we would have been completely foolish to have 1 issue on 2 booths at SuperCon.
It was funny because the person next to us didn't show up at Motor City, so I kept joking like, hey Rob, do you want me to take some of your stuff and like put it on the table next to me?
I mean, I could have filled it.
You could have, and
I could have. I mean, I didn't. That's the problem with like having 10 issues of one book and almost 4 issues of another, and then having these things. These guys taking up room, and like.
Hey, I would have helped sell it. I've been like, hey, look, that guy's over there, but you can sell it over here, and you can give me the money.
That's the other growing pain of publishing too. Is like you're gonna have that issue eventually. If you have all these different books that you're putting out, you're gonna run out of room. I mean, I ran out of room with like 3 titles.
Yeah, that's why I at 1, everything needs to be completed, and 2, I am gonna be tiny. Like I don't have, and I should have said this too, I don't want to have like 50, 60 titles to deal with. Like I don't. I can barely deal with you 3. So it's like, why would I deal with other people? Like,
well, I mean, that's a lot of taglines to remember and a lot of pictures to throw out at people. Like that is tough. Like, yeah.
One of the things we've started to do as our table has grown to the point of insanity is the number of variant covers that we display at the table has shrunk. Doesn't mean we have less issues, but when you go to a table and you see 20 issues of the same title, people are like, oh my gosh, that's far too much for me to be able to bear. But then you're like, dude, it's literally 4 or 5 issues with 4 or 5 variant covers. So what we started doing is we only display 1 cover per issue and 1 homage cover per issue, because we try to have an homage cover per issue. And then if somebody likes it, we're like, hey, there's a couple other covers you can choose from as well. So that way they don't have that initial sticker shock of too many issues, too much time and money to invest. I'm out.
Well, actually that kind of bleeds into what Fish was asking too, is like, how much is too much when it comes to your campaign or just your table? Like, because you can have a full table, but you can also have a full table of junk and clutter. And I'm looking at Rob Multari's table because it was just like a flea market. So, but what I'm saying is,
designed flea market,
very well designed.
I mean, look, it was my best show I ever had, so I'm not gonna
listen. I am not. I absolutely was proud of that because I was watching you fucking kill it. So, I mean, we did good for our, we made over table and everything. So we did pretty well too. But, we definitely learned a lot with Rob there because we were like, oh yeah, we should probably do that too.
You know what though? Trade paperbacks definitely like once you have those,
Yeah.
that's the game changer. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where I only show just my standard retail covers and just take trades because I'm going to have Snowpaw coming up this fall. I'm doing a Kickstarter for, and then once I get to issue 12 of Nightwolf, I'll have 3 books. So, I mean, I won't need all of those, variant covers.
Nobody's going to be like, I need to pick up issue 7 unless you've got the bombing cover, the best cover you've ever done on issue 7. Nobody's going to go to a show.
Right.
Just want to pick up that middle one and pick out the trades for sure.
Yeah, and I think, oh, go on.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, because one of the ideas that I have is that I'm just going to have like issue 1s and then the trade paperbacks of it. So if people don't want to buy the full trade paperback, but they still want to dip their toes, I'll be like, hey, I have Age of Yokai. I have all 4 issues here in the trade paperback, or I have issue 1. So that way, and then you can come back and then you got a little collector's item. So I will have that available. But if you have like 40 different variant covers and plushies and all kinds of other stuff, and I go to your table, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I kind of.
It's also about how you talk them through it.
Gentlemen, hold on. We've gone again into the weeds.
Well, we're waiting for Fish to come.
Well,
back.
we're waiting. Yeah, like you have full control over us, dude. Like.
I don't.
Somebody's getting muted.
So now,
is he coming back, or do we?
I honestly don't think he's going to be able to come back. So we should probably just do our best to answer his question.
Sure.
And then we can talk about the other stuff.
Fair, very fair.
Fair. Okay.
Okay.
So then he can rewatch the video, or maybe he's at home watching it now. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. So, Fish, if you are watching. We're going to go through what we think based on what we heard.
Yes.
Matt, would you like to go first?
Absolutely. So I pulled up Fish's most recent campaign that just successfully funded. I would go the opposite direction of what Fish was asking, and here's what I would say. In Fish's campaign, the highest tiers that he has a tier that's at $60, then he has a tier that's at $150. I know that Fish has got a lot more merch than that. I know he's got a lot more titles than that. I try to live by the phrase, we try to live by the phrase that everything is always new to somebody. There's going to be somebody that's going to happen upon your campaign that has never heard of you before, that is going to become a super backer if you give them a chance to be a super backer. If you've got back issues, if you've got stuff sitting around, make the ultimate Fish tier. Find ways to give people the opportunity to support if they want to support you. I would, when you're ordering stock, maybe if you're ordering short runs, maybe order just slightly a little bit more, thinking of the future, so that way when you have your next campaign, you can build those larger tiers in. That way you're not having to go to a new vendor. That way you're not having to onboard a new piece of merch. You're just taking these things you already have that you want in their hands anyways, and you can build those larger tiers. I think that that's something that would probably help you as you get a larger inventory of titles.
Chad.
Truthfully, so I've kind of noted, just to go to, and I just took a quick glance at his latest campaign as well, because Matt, that was a pretty good idea to look at. I've kind of noticed, and again, maybe I'm just looking, you kind of went from your Green Zone campaign to like a very simple $100, shirt, bunch of, comics and everything. And your next campaign, you went to your 3D printed characters, your all this other stuff. And I would say maybe spoon feed that a little bit more. Like, do something. Again, I've always thought simple is better. So this is just me kind of going off of what I'm thinking, because that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, I would spoon feed it. Like, when you're doing something for your next campaign, you have that little crit like Sandy. The next campaign, you have your 3D models. So you just add something new each time. Because once you get to that campaign where it looks like a shopping mall, you're going to lose people, because they're going to be really overwhelmed and they want to see your stuff grow over time. Now, granted, you are going to see the new people who are going to be like, what the fuck? But you can't really help that either. But I do think for your older audience, you spoon feeding them might work. Or maybe I'm just completely wrong. So you could tell me that, Chad, that's stupid, and that's fine. But that's what I think. Also, too, the fact that you guys do shirts and acrylics and everything, that is absolutely admirable, because I don't like dealing with like 5 to 6 different things. If I have one person or one vendor that can do multiple things, I will try to take advantage of it. So that's just me. Is also probably just look for vendors that can do multiple things. That might be helpful. So my Kickstarter experience is very limited knowledge. So, or you could just give up. I mean, you could do that too. I mean,
JD, do you want to go, or do you or shall I jump in?
Fish, don't give up.
no, don't. But
but I think for myself, it's always the same thing. It's ROI, right? Like, what are the items that are costing you the least that you're making the most on, right? What are you spending 30 cents on that you're selling for $5, right? So I think those are the things you need to take into account. Is like, are you selling a shirt for $20 that's costing you 12 or 14, right? As opposed to selling an item that costs you 50 cents that you can sell for $5. So I think those are the things you need to like focus in on, are those numbers, right? Try to find those things that are going to make you the most amount of money. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I mean, as far as that's concerned, it's just like focus on those numbers, focus on what's going to make you the most. And look, and that doesn't mean don't do the t-shirts. You understand? But I would just say focus on those other things. But also do the things you like doing, because in the end, if it's not, whenever I do something, right, it's because I want it, right? If I got a pin, it's because I wanted that pin. It's a whole nother thing about me selling it. Yeah, it's like, but that's just me being a child. So
I'm always like, oh, this will be awesome. And then,
right.
It doesn't sell, but you wanted it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes it'll take a while. You know what I mean? I have items that are like, I did a bunch of pins. I know I've sold a metric ton of them, but it's just like, but now it's at a point where I'm selling 2 per campaign, 3 per campaign, 2 per campaign, 3 per campaign. Yeah, but I'm also selling a bunch of other things, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1. And, and as long as you're willing to keep track of that, it's okay.
Also, you could order ahead, I feel like, because I know Fish was saying he's worked with publishers who are like, oh, we forgot to order the, metal bookmarks. Well, if you're doing it yourself, you could just order ahead.
Correct.
On it, like, and then you might, you might sell 5 of them, and then you have 100. Right. But you could sell those at a convention or something. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing stopping you on that.
Yeah.
That's what I usually do when it comes to those types of trinkets and everything, because I know they'll take a little bit longer, is sometimes I will just order ahead on them. Not saying I have any trinkets at the moment, but for stickers and everything, I usually order ahead.
Right.
So, especially with tariffs, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. So obviously, as we've talked about my table so much this show, my table reflects my Kickstarters. If anybody has ever seen my Kickstarter, so Fish. But yeah, so for me, like I all of my back issues, all of my variants, like I have tiers for everything. I have tiers, each campaign I add a new Lego figure. So like, that's one thing that I do every campaign. Sometimes I have different stretch goals that then become add-ons. Lately I've been introducing lenticular covers. So those are nice ones, but you have to have like a dual image that you can do the thing with. Metal covers as you have. Those are good ones for add-ons. Some things too to consider is like, for me, I don't just do add-ons for stretch goals. I also kind of throw in milestones, which are like little freebies, like stickers, die-cut stickers. But what's nice about that is like they get those free on the campaign. I take those to to cons, and I sell them for $2. And I order enough that I have enough that I can just keep selling those for $2. And they're well worth, doing that, especially if you find a good one, supplier for that. Same with, the acrylic standees, like those are add-ons that I do occasionally. Like I kind of like, again, stretch goals add-on. And then I sell those at cons. I said basically anything I get for the freebies, for the add-ons, all that stuff I use and I sell at cons. And like, again, I have so much crap on my table, but like I never know what's going to sell and what's not going to sell at a con. So I hate to leave it behind. And some cons I'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to bring this next time. But then I bring it the next time and it sells. It's one of those weird things. So, being mindful of the tchotchke that has more than a temporary life is something that always, keep in mind, that you could take to cons with you, or that you have it in your add-on section for the next campaign. Because if you have enough of them, one, it saves you, the more you order, usually the cheaper the price, right? So if you get like price breaks at certain costs and quantity, you will have those for a long time to help continue to boost. Oh, I missed that last campaign. I see he's got it on the add-ons. I'm going to grab it this time. I have like people who like collect those Legos, like that. Sometimes they'll miss one or two, and then they'll like 2 campaigns later, they'll get them in the add-ons later, or in backer kit during the pledge manager time. It's nice to be able to have those things, and they kind of like, especially if you can get them at a nice, decent price that's actually better than the margin for your book. That's the other.
To put on the Lego figure too, if you have them at a convention, then you give people, hey, did you know that you can get another Lego figure with your with the next campaign? That gives you that in for them to back your next campaign, because you can, and then that gives you an opportunity to say, okay, yeah, I want to continue doing these Lego figures. Now, granted, whether they actually go for it is neither here nor there, but it does set that seed for you to continue on with it. Plus, I mean, I have a ton of bookmarks and stickers from my previous campaigns, and I just give them out at conventions, and people love them. And I'm talking more inexpensive freebies, but there are those times where you could just have shit sitting around that you can go put on your table and sell, or give away for free, and then there's no real terrible thing. But I'm also a sucker for freebies, so. Yeah.
And that's like bookmarks are amazing for that. Like every time, like you can hand those out all day long, but you got to be wise and make sure you got your information on there.
that kind of bit me in the butt because I don't, but that's lesson learned on the bookmarks. Although I think
you have the coaster.
Right. Yeah. I have the coasters, and I think I'm going to do the trading cards too. I think that'll be a good idea.
But Fish, has that, well, from what you heard, and then I'm assuming.
I was listening the whole time, like on my phone, trying to get my old computer booted up to get it, because it's hardwired in.
Fair.
But yeah, to Chad's statement, advice earlier, the 3D minis were the thing that I was introducing this time on this campaign.
Oh, okay.
Because the acrylic figures I did on the earlier Alice campaign that was on backer kit, and they did pretty good there, but they do really good at shows for me, which is why, like, when I do something like this for a campaign, I'm looking at it from, I want the Kickstarter to fund me getting a decent run of them, so I have them as add-ons for the next campaign. I have them to take to shows and sell there, and if nothing else, having the acrylic figures to be able to say, hey, this is Big 10 from the story, have worked really well to be able to pitch it to people, and then I sell some at every show. And the 3D figures cost me like $14 to make the models and download them, and so there's no cost in it except for the ones that I have to get produced now, and they did pretty good. So
I'm gonna contact you later about this. So.
I'm gonna
I need to
find as many as I can afford to get 3D printed when I do this order, so that I can have them on hand for shows and for the next campaign.
I've noticed that minifigures have gotten really popular, so And also, I'm a sucker for those little acrylic ones.
Yeah,
too,
I have figures 3D modeled, but everybody I've talked to about printing them, it's always been too expensive, and I don't want to charge that much more to my backers. So yeah, if you have a good somebody.
The other thing I tried offering this time, because I was looking at the campaigns that like just do minifigures, and they usually have like huge digital tiers where you can just download the files to print them yourself. So I included that in my digital tier this time. I think after looking at the spreadsheet, I probably priced my bigger digital tier a little bit too high, but lesson learned. That's coming from looking at the numbers. But I can fix that next time. I can correct that.
I just wanted to comment too that Fred Schwartz said to Fish's comment was digital rewards are a total return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
Fish said this is from my Facebook, by the way, because he's commenting. Fish said his process videos do well, maybe personalized process videos. That actually might be kind of
It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because you could do a service tier as a digital reward, some kind of
well, take me to dinner first.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, and that's one of the things that I realized looking at the spreadsheet was like the first couple that I did with the other publisher had much higher tiers than I had on mine that all had a couple of hits on them each. And it was usually like there was a lot of extra things in there, like you got the jacket and the hat or whatever. But then it was also like, coming on the show with us on Friday nights and I would draw you a character kind of thing. So like you were getting booked on our podcast and stuff, and you were going to get a piece of artwork from me at the end of it and get to pitch whatever it is that you were working on. And then there was a bunch of other swag on there that I haven't branched out into yet. Like I said, I've been taking it relatively a step at a time, but I knew this campaign, being Alice, would be an easy one to roll over into minifigs that could possibly be used in any campaign, make them a little bit more universal sell. And these ones in particular didn't cost me much. So that was an easier sell. But
nice. All right. Well, do you think that helped, or with everything? Did it meet your expectations at least?
It's always helpful, man. It's always good to be able to talk this stuff out with people, and even if the answers I get are agreeing with what I was already thinking, that lets me know that I'm on the right track. So I'm all for it.
Very fair. All right. Chad, do you have anything that you wanted to promote, or?
So right now I have on Drive-Thru Comics the Trials and Tribulations of Miss Tinley are Tilney by David Doob. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. He can yell at me later. Is currently on there, so you can check that out. So I'm currently promoting that, and I am a part of an anthology that'll be announced in the next couple, and it'll be the first appearance of Little Shit from Bark in the Water. So it'll be pretty cool. So yeah, it's been pretty mellow with me at the moment. So
Fish, would you like to show you have late pledges, right?
Yeah, we still got late pledges open.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll pull up.
Yeah, we'll talk about that for a few, and then we will go into our adieus.
Are we way over time?
Just a little bit, but it's not that big a deal.
Oh, okay.
For some people, my wife will be coming in here probably.
I know my wife is asleep because she planned for this. She's like, okay, well, Chad's here, so he's going to talk a lot. So it'll be about 2 hours. So.
I'll let her know it was your fault.
That's fair.
If you want to just give us a quick run through, this show's a little different than my Sunday show, so you got a minute or two.
Alice is lost in an interdimensional rift of Wonderland. She spent her whole life lost here. She's grown into the deadliest bounty hunter in the rift. She's got the Tin Man by her side and the Vorpal sword on her hip, and it can cut holes in reality, and she is hunting her adopted dad, the White Rabbit that brought her to Wonderland in the first place. He tried to save her life, and by the time he got done saving it, he couldn't figure out how to get her back home. So he did his best to raise her, and now she hates him, and she is hunting his head. that's pretty much the gist of it. Lots of action, lots of adventure, lots of time travel nonsense, lots of freebies for the physical backers.
All right, cool. Now explain the fact that it's in what is it? Where you can still get it even though the campaign is finished.
It's late pledges. Yeah, not every tier is still open for late pledges, but several of them are. And some of the add-ons still are too for a few of them. Things that don't have to get ordered from, great distances or times ahead. But yeah, I'm going to leave late pledges open until I start shipping, and then I'm going to close them and switch Go Mr. Fish over to the next campaign, which will probably be the next issue of Alice.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Very nice, very nice. All right, cool. Well, hopefully you get a few more sales, sir. Very nice.
Hopefully.
Well done, everyone. So yeah. So look, we made it to well beyond the hour and a half. So thank you so much, everybody. You guys are all great. I hope this helped. Let's start with Matt. Matt, where can they find you and your work, sir?
All right, right now, the two main places for you to go is tinyurl.com/Tatsumi TSM. That is where we want you through 10 p.m. next Thursday, June 12th. That is the Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress #1 campaign. Once again, that is tinyurl.com/TATSUMI-TSM, Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress. If you're like, man, I want to see all this other stuff you do. I heard you do metal music. I heard Steph does reviews for things like Fangoria and Creepy Kingdom and stuff like that. Then you want to go to linktree.com/InSymmetry Creations, INSYMMETRY Creations. There you can get to everything that we have, music videos, articles, all of our other merch. There you go. That's the two links.
Cool. Mr. Fish, where can they find you and your work, sir?
It is Mr. Fish Comics everywhere, from YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, .com, every place you can pick up the books on MrFishComics.com or the TikTok shop. They're all available there.
Cool. Chad?
So you can find me at RollingSquidBones.com, where you can take a look at my shop where you can buy stuff. You can also find me on Facebook and Substack, which is usually where I'm more active at, which is just my name, or the Comic Brews, which is my Substack. And then, I also do the Cosmos Comics Collective, which is at the next show is June 11th. And it's been a long time since I've actually promoted a show that I do. Wednesday the 11th at 7 p.m. And we are doing what animated cartoon do we want to be a live action? But we also do other stuff. Like right now, our previous episodes, we made our own public domain comic. So that was kind of a lot of fun. Actually, it was a lot of fun. But it's me, David Whalen, and John Westhoff, and Aaron Humphreys, and Martha Wade. We just get together and we just shoot the shit and we talk about comic book stuff. So that is every other week. So twice a month on the Cosmos Comics Collective. Yeah. You can find me anywhere, or just drunk and passed out in an alley. It just depends. So, that's actually not true. So
as he takes another drink.
as I crack it open, my fifth one of the day.
All right, cool. Rob, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Yeah, you can find me at pretty much almost every social media at Lone Wolf Comics, specifically Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm other places, but I'm not that active there, so that's not really important. You can find me at Rob Malteri, same places, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. LoneWolfComics.com is my website. We have an online shop there where you can catch up on the past issues as well as other things. Snowpaw.lonewolfcomics.com is pre-launch for Snowpaw issue 4, which is coming hopefully soon. I'm still waiting on Mog to finish pages before we go live.
All right, cool. I'm Jd Calderon. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those different places for that. TheOswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com. Currently on Kickstarter with Magi's Grace. So we got another 12 days on that, so go check that out. And one more thing, everybody, please check out the show notes. All these creators are fantastic. They're all doing great work. All of their links are in the show notes. So click on those links, pick up those books. Support these creators. They're doing great work. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening. Have a good night.
See you.
Bye.